I'm the witch,
And I'm the Atheist.
and today's episode we have a very special guest that I'm very excited to bring on today. And I was gonna say, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Jessica Lovelace, and I go by the Vampire Witch.
Thank you for that introduction. So I was gonna say that do you have any community that you would say you belong to, or any belief that you follow that makes you you and kind of separates you from the other people on the internet?
Yeah, I belong to what is lovingly known as the Real Vampire community. It is an eclectic bunch of people that all commonly identify as real vampires. I'm trying to think of how to explain it without going in too much of a rabbit hole, but I guess that's the whole point of this, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Real Vampire community is a group of people that all identify as real vampires because they have a set of common traits, commonalities amongst us all that I'm just trying to think of how to properly explain it, because the vampire community is it's very eclectic. It's like a lot of it, there's so much nuance, and people who identify as vampires do so for a myriad of reasons. So it's really hard to reduce what is a real vampire or what is the vampire community into like a cohesive definition, because if I do that, someone will get pissed about what I left out or what I didn't say. So it's really hard to kind of condense it into something, but
There's
the real
definitely, yeah, I was gonna say, sorry, there's definitely like a lot of subsections of things, because there's like, I've read books from, the Psychic Vampire Codex, and even it's a little bit dated nowadays, I would say, community-wise, because it talks about more the 2000s and like 90s kind of era. But it still kind of does go over like there's a lot of differences with like these communities, and there's more of the psychic, kind of like energy working side of it, but then there's also the actual blood drinking part of it, and like that, like, more, and then there's also the more fetish kind of side of it. So it's definitely a lot of different sides of the community.
Yeah, for sure. And the internet has really changed the playing field and all of that as well.
Sure.
And there's also there's left-hand path vampires who don't really, they have their own kind of thing going on. They use vampirism as like a way to empower themselves rather than to sustain or feed for things that they need. So there's just so many different paths. But yeah, so you brought up the Psychic Vampire Codex. A lot of that information is commonplace in the real vampire community now, and that's kind of gospel for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's exactly why I mentioned it, because I was just like, that is one of the main books that most people mention, and that's a book that I recommend people read, actually, because I was just like, that's one of those essential books that I feel like if you're gonna go in the vampire community, you should at least read this book at once. It has a lot of useful information.
It's one of my starter books that I recommend to people when they first come to the community. People come into one of my groups or whatever, and they're like, "What is a vampire?" I list 3 books that I tell them to read. It's The Psychic Vampire Codex by Michelle Belanger, Energy Magic of the Vampire by Don Webb, and The Black Veils by Father Sebastian are the 3 books that I start with.
The Black Veils, we actually went up to Salem. They have a shop called Vamp Fangs, and I got a signed copy. They had the last copy that was signed, and I was like, I need to get that. And it was just the face I made to my fiancé. I was just like, I gotta get it.
She had stars in her eyes when she heard all that. And she just turned slowly, like, please. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Aw, that's
I was
cool.
going to ask about that book of where that fell in, but now I know. That's one of the top 3.
Yeah, that's one of the top 3 that I recommend because those 3 books have such different outlooks that it shows you how much variance there is in the beliefs and behind the vampire community, and just the different identities and how people treat vampirism is just so different. And I feel like it's very important to learn that early on, because you will find a lot of people through the community, which with any esoteric community, people that are very, my way is the only way. And because I experience it this way, it is the one and only correct way. And that's not right in any community, but people in the vampire community are very adamant about it. So I try to recommend those 3 books just for the spectrum that people will be introduced to.
I definitely think that's a good top 3 to recommend for beginners because they go over so many different aspects. So I definitely am in agreement with yeah, those are pretty good picks. What does the atheist think of this so far?
Well, I don't have enough information really to gather any, meaningful arguments or topic bringing ups or, So I'm here today to mostly just learn more,
It's all new to you?
It is,
Okay.
Because, as an atheist, to me, everything is mumbo jumbo. I'm always open to learn more and to interact and everything, but so far, I just haven't heard enough yet.
Yeah. So maybe we should start with what exactly a real vampire is. Yes. Real vampires are individuals. So I'm going to preface this with, this is a common definition, what a lot of people believe. Obviously, we just talked about there's a spectrum, so this umbrella does not cover everyone. However, vampires are usually individuals that feel like they need to feed on energy in one way or another, to either sustain a need that they have because they don't create enough pranic energy to sustain their own life, and therefore they need to pull it from other places, or they use it to empower themselves, their magic, their rituals, whatever they're doing. So the commonality there is that they all seek out a third-party source of pranic energy and collect it and use it throughout their lives. It helps them sustain prime physical, mental, and spiritual health. They collect it and use that extra energy towards, like I said, magic and rituals, and that sort of thing. There's also a kind of attitude and demeanor and kind of primal state of being that vampires have. How can I explain that? The left-hand path has sort of like a self-deification sort of attitude towards it through a lot of their work, and vampires have a sort of the same aura about the way they handle their lives. And those are the 2 common things: is the need to feed and just the way they carry themselves is a very they call it the vampiric state of being or something like that, and it's a very primal nature, very intuitive in a very kind of instinctual kind of way. Like their instincts are heightened, their senses are heightened when they fall into like a vampiric state and things of that nature. Hopefully that makes sense.
Well, that's a good
any
explanation.
questions about that?
Yeah, I just don't have much in the way of this
right.
I don't have much to add. I just really want to sit here and just listen. If I come up with questions, I'll come up with questions. Okay. I'm just really worried that as an atheist, that I might say something that would be offensive.
Go for it. I'm here for it.
Right. So
I've heard it all.
So when you feed, you're not actually getting energy. It's filling a need and makes you feel good, yeah?
If that's your perspective, sure.
Right. Because that's just scientifically, there is no nutritional value in blood. So I find look. This is why I kind of was just staying silent. I drink coffee every morning. That wakes me up.
Right.
And there's scientific reasons for the caffeine entering my bloodstream and everything, and it's giving me that pickup. You're telling me that when you feed, you get that same high?
Not exactly, but
Okay.
it is kind of similar, and it depends. Like, so as an atheist, you're someone that clearly you don't believe in sky daddies and whatnot, but you don't believe in energy work or any of that at all.
Sorry, sky daddies. I just
Is that
a
new?
lot of imagery just popped into my head for that.
You're welcome for that visual.
Yes, that is new to me.
Okay, well, please use that. Spread the gospel of the sky daddies. No.
Is that a new terminology for just gods in general?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know where I picked that up from, but yeah,
I
people
love that. I love that.
But yeah, sky daddies, gods. It's the facetious way to talk about them that way, which is funny because I'm a pagan and a polytheist, and I still say it. So.
I love that's I'm gonna replace, because I never actually use the term flying spaghetti monster that so many other atheists love to use. I don't like using that term. It sounds really insulting and everything.
Right.
But sky daddies, I love that. That is so funny.
Oh man. So yeah, back to the question though. Do you not like believe in anything esoteric like at all? Or are you just not an energy kind of guy either? You don't believe in that?
No.
Okay.
I kind of, sometimes I wish I did, because I feel like it would help me get through my depression states a little easier, but it never clicks. I grew up Catholic, and that just that went away the minute spoiler alerts for anyone younger out there, that went away the minute I found out Santa Claus wasn't real. Because to me, if Santa Claus can't be real, and that's like the simplest of magical people, then the others can't be.
Right.
And then later on, I was in a band that was just full of Wiccans, and they converted me, but then they started doing weird things that I was like, no, you're not actually talking to a dead person. No, there's no one that, no. So yeah, I slipped back into atheism. Atheism just fits my mindset, I think, a lot better than just hoping that there's something more going on in the world. I'd love if there was, but my brain just continually tells me no.
All right. There's nothing wrong with that. That's valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, change my perspective of, Autumn, who I love with all my heart. I know she's not an atheist. I know she believes in these things that I do not believe in, but I respect her for sticking to her guns, and I not allow in a, like, I allow you to do, but like she has her altar and she can do these things and it doesn't affect me, and you can believe the way that you believe and that does not affect me. Like, as long as everybody's happy,
you can take his word. You can take his word too, because even there was one time we were drinking a little bit too much wine with each other, and he just straight up just said, "My priestess of Hekate," and I was just like, yeah, he definitely respects me in that manner, I guess.
Right, but that's what it boils down to, is the respect factor. Is like, nobody, as long as you're not hurting anybody with your beliefs, and you're respectful with everybody about it, it's totally fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've typically very much disagree with any atheist that starts going out and just start like, you're stupid because of sky daddies.
I just want to see that now.
Yeah, but
it's just reverse conversion. Like, you don't like it when Christians do it to you, so why it's the same thing.
Let them
flavor.
Exactly. Let them be happy, believe in however they believe, and whatever gets them through the day and everything. Like, you don't have to push your agenda on people. Right. That's the type of atheist I am.
Well, that's good. I respect that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I understand too, because I'm very practical and down to earth. I'm like, even though it doesn't sound like it because I call myself a real vampire and I practice vampire witchcraft, and that sounds very out there. And I totally understand and respect that view, because if I was on the outside looking in at myself, I'd be like, what the actual fuck? So I get it.
Yes.
But I'm very down to earth and practical, and science is king, and I'm not going to try to explain away science with, my witchcraft and magic. It complements, the two complement each other in ways that not everybody agrees with, but I don't care.
Science is often mistaken as magic, as it's just something that we don't fully understand yet. And it could be the other way as well.
I mean, it used to be hand in hand. It wasn't until heavily Christianized world that science and magic were separated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I was gonna say though, we definitely went off on a tangent.
We did. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. It was insightful and it was really nice to hear. But
I'm sure the viewers would, or the listeners rather, I'm sure they'll get a kick out of it.
Exactly. But we're gonna move on to the next thing. I was gonna ask, what actually is your favorite vampire myth? Do you have one? There's a lot.
There is a lot. I really enjoy hearing about vampire myths that are less common. I wish I knew more about the actual mythological story so I could tell you, but there's two particular stories. There is a vampire myth from Africa where it's a being that has iron teeth, and he hangs from the trees, and he waits for victims as they come by. And there's another one from South America where the vampires are women who, during the day, you couldn't tell them apart from regular humans, but at night they turn into the vampire beings, and they come and they eat you. But I really enjoy hearing about vampire myths from places that aren't your typical European vampires.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you heard of any Japanese ones? Because the one that you were saying from South America sounds very similar to. I'm not gonna say the name. I know I'll butcher the Japanese pronunciation of these names.
Oh,
but
you should definitely do it.
No, I don't even think I could remember how to pronounce it. It's hard.
That's why I didn't say the African one either, for the same reason. I want to say it's acebonum or something like that, but I'm sure I just butchered that.
Yeah,
so you're welcome.
I'll try, cause the Hichikaichi, I don't know. I don't remember. But they have their own vampire version of. It seems like a lot of different myths. They like the idea of the woman during the day, and then they transform into this vampiric being. And in Japanese folklore, it seems like they kind of have two vampire women versions. So one can transform her neck like a snake and basically slither around and just actually commit murders and suck the blood from people. And then there's another version of that that's just a detached head. And apparently it's their version of killing the vampire, and for that one would be you would have to basically follow the detached head and find the body that it detached from, and then get rid of the body. And then the head has nowhere to go. Because it has...
Damn succubus women.
Yeah. But it also, the sunlight thing seems to be involved too. It's just lots of commonalities.
And that's a lot of the reason, the commonalities and myths is a lot of the vampire community believe they have things that mimic a lot of the vampire myths, and there are some people in the community that believe... Oh, of course my phone alarm will go off right now. I silenced you. Damn it.
It's okay.
That happens to me at work all the time.
Remember, we're editing.
Thank God. All right. Where the hell was I? Oh, okay. So people in the vampire community like to equate some of the traits that they have amongst each other to some of the mythical traits of the mythical vampire. For example, a lot of them believe they have sun and heat sensitivity, and the need to feed, and what other? They all seem to have an affinity for silver, which is because supposedly it's because silver has moon energy, whereas gold has sun energy. Therefore, most vampires don't like gold. Um, I don't know. These are all things that I have, but I hesitate to be like, it's because I'm a vampire, because like I'm also
Yeah.
Irish and I sunburn in 10 minutes because I'm Irish, or I'm goth and I don't go outside. Like, which, I mean, a lot of people in the vampire community are also goth and just don't go outside. So is it because we're vampires we have heat sensitivity, or is it because we're hermits and we just don't go outside? Don't know. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of the traits. I'm trying to think of other traits that vampires have that the community claims, but I'm drawing a blank right now.
See, my experience with vampires is exclusively to entertainment media.
Yeah.
And you brought up the whole silver thing. That just reminded me of one of my favorite stories of vampires from a not actually honestly I can't say it's a great movie because it's been so long, but Dracula 2000.
Mm-hmm.
It has been so long since I've seen that movie. I can't remember anything about it except
Yeah,
set up this story arc where it turns out Dracula is actually Judas who betrayed Jesus. And after the crucifixion, he was cursed with vampirism, and the silver that he was paid to betray Jesus spilled all over the ground and all this other stuff. And ever since then, that's why vampires are allergic to silver.
I vaguely remember that.
I found that little insert of the movie to be really compelling. I was like, I like how they made that be a vampire's weakness of silver,
Right.
just because I've never seen or heard of it before. But again, I haven't seen that movie in so long. I think it's on Paramount Plus right now. I probably should go watch that because I've seen it recently and I haven't seen it in so long.
Right.
And I need to watch it. But yeah, that's just one of my examples of the only knowledge of vampires. That and over South Park, goth kids versus vamp kids, of course.
Vampire the Masquerade. I was gonna say that
Vampire the Masquerade.
That's actually kind of connected to what you're talking about, because in their storyline, they still take like a Christianity type approach where it's like Cain is basically the first vampire because of his betrayal from his brother, and I don't. The thing I don't understand though in that sense, it's like in that game, it's like you basically God just awarded him with immortality for killing his brother, and but then there's also the fact that like he's kind of cursed to birth like vampire children. Like that's the only thing that can be in his name. He can't like make a proper legacy for himself.
Well, you also got like the show True Blood, where it wasn't Adam and Eve, it was Adam and Lilith. And then Eve came later after Lilith did something. I can't remember. Did she kill her kids or did she eat her kids? I can't remember. She did something to get kicked out of the garden, and then Eve was brought back in.
But
and then Lilith was like the very first woman.
Lilith also seems to be brought up a lot in a lot of vampire stories.
It's a very common name that I hear a lot when it comes to vampires.
Yeah, she's believed to be a succubus, which a lot of vampires align themselves with either succubus or incubus energies because they feel themselves to be the types that feed from sexual energy. So Lilith is a very popular goddess that a lot of vampires that are spiritual venerate.
Maybe that's what she did in True Blood to get kicked out. She was just too sexy.
Sounds about right. I watched
You're supposed to
5
hide your
episodes
shame,
of
not
that.
use it.
Right. Yeah. I watched like 5 episodes of True Blood. I'm so, for being somebody in the quote unquote real vampire community, I am so bad with vampire media. I have a bad stereotype.
It was a fun show, but I don't know how accurate it would actually be to true vampires.
Probably not at all based on the couple that I saw. If it ever became, go into a bar and order a bottle of blood, that'd be weird. I don't think it could ever be like that. But no, I don't know. It's to equate media to the vampire community, you have to find it in like all the metaphor. Like you can't really see it on the surface. Like it's never going to be like the media. However, there is metaphor to be found underneath the surface. I mean, other than you brought up Vampire the Masquerade, you'd be both surprised and not surprised how many real people do Vampire the Masquerade things and parade like it's like reality.
I can believe that. Yes.
I believe it because there's the D&D style role playing game for it. So there's people who actually sit down with a board game style game and play it. So
exactly my thought process.
That's why I'm like, there has to be a percentage of people that are like, yeah, this is my 100% thing that I believe in.
Also, in the 90s, the Father Sebastian started his whole, Sabretooth clan and the events and whatnot in the 90s, and that was when the White Wolf games were like really popular. So, there's kind of a back and forth argument about what came first, the real vampires or the White Wolf, and did the real vampires make the White Wolf? And it's the lines between reality and Vampire the Masquerade get very blurred in some ways. And it's really quite fascinating coming into the vampire community, not knowing really much of anything about Vampire the Masquerade, but the more I learn, the more I'm like, oh, you guys are living the game in real life. That's super interesting.
Yeah, like I didn't even play like the actual video game like for Bloodlines until way later, until I was like, because I was always just a vampire kind of nerd for everything, like every aspect, like the community, the myths, the stories of just everything, because it was always just super interesting and like, again with the different aspects of it, it's like there's so many different aspects to hear about. But with the video games and like the game itself, it's like it's definitely in itself another aspect and like different ballpark of it. It's just weird.
The only video games I played the Legacy of Kain games.
Yes.
Back in the day.
Yes. I wasn't going to mention that series because it doesn't even take place on Earth, but yes.
I did play those, but and I did play Blood Hunt, the new Blood Hunt game for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, we were thinking about trying it, but we were also like,
It's okay. It's not the best. I do like the battle, like person to person. What do you even call this? I'm so not a video game person, but it's kind of like a
battle royale.
I think it's battle royale. It's not team deathmatch because you're not in a team. It's you versus everyone. But it's really interesting. But you have to do that over and over and over and over to advance in the game, it seems. And I don't have the attention span for it. So it'd be cool if Bloodlines 2 would come out because I was actually interested in that. But I have no idea if that's still a thing or not.
The last update that I know of is that they basically were like, oh, we changed publishers, but we're not going to say who it is. And it's just like, well, that's useless.
Right. And it's like the last update they put out was like in 2021.
Yeah,
and it didn't really give a timetable or anything. And we're just like, okay, cool. This is all fine.
I think they have a curse. Because like the first game too, it had so many problems just when it runs like garbage with the first one. So you basically have to get like mod oh gosh, what is it? Vampire Masquerade Plus, right? And it's you get mods. So yeah, you have to mod the game to make it how you want it and make things work.
Well, that sucks.
It does, but it does make the game a lot better and a lot more playable and a lot more stable, so it doesn't break all the time. So it's unfortunate, but I think much like KOTOR 2, Star Wars game, that was a broken mess, but playable. And
Right.
now it has like an unofficial patch, a restoration project that adds in a bunch of things that they didn't have time to actually finish, and therefore makes the game work and makes it better. And that's officially supported. I think the patch that does the same thing for the Vampire Masquerade is the same. I think they're officially supporting it on certain platforms, not on Steam.
Nice.
But yeah, when you get the game, you just get the patch now, I think.
Yeah.
Video games are wild.
Yeah.
I feel like such a boomer. I'm like, man, video games have really come real far.
They have.
They have, though. That's true. Like,
oh man.
I still think like there could be a chance for it to come out maybe next year. They'll surprise us, but I don't know.
Right. We'll see. Just keep waiting for updates. Got any more of them updates?
But I was gonna actually say, like, do you have any like modern vampire stuff? Like, again, I know you said you don't watch much media, but is there anything else that you've like connected to recently? Like, oh
I'm
gosh,
waiting for the new interview. Honestly, the new interview
yeah.
with the Vampire show. Everybody's like claws out at it, and I'm like, no, give me the show. I want it.
That was a great movie. I kind of want to see the show.
Yeah.
It was a great movie. The TV show is going to be so different.
Yeah.
They've changed the story a lot, and a lot of people can't handle it. But that's on them. I'm excited about it. It's a 10-episode series, and Claudia is only in one of 10 episodes. And they look like they are going to explore the relationship between Louis and Lestat a lot more, which is exciting to me. But they have changed it. They've moved the timeline from... They've moved it a couple hundred years into the future. Louis is now a brothel owner, and his family is still alive from what I understand, which in the very beginning, like the first part of the interview in the movie, the family's already dead. So, lots of changes, but from the previews, it just looks visually stunning. The sets look great, the costumes look great, and that alone, I'm sold. I'm a sucker for a good set and costume design, so...
Yeah.
Very excited for that. That comes out on October 2nd, so super soon.
Oh wow, yeah, that is pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, have you seen what is it? What We Do in the Shadows?
Oh my god, yes, I fucking love that show and the movie.
Yeah,
Bats.
That's his favorite, yeah. But that's
oh my god.
That's our like one of our favorite shows to watch like recently with each other, and it's a
Let
pain
me tell you how accurate
Hulu, but...
Colin Robinson is. Colin Robinson, somebody did their research on that guy. There's a specific scene, oh my god, and I believe not the most recent season, but the season prior, it's the Internet Vampire scene where Colin Robinson is set up in his basement with all his computers all around him, and he feeds off of people on the internet. I cannot tell you how accurate that is. There are people, when you get into like certain vampire community groups, they're all full of Colin Robinsons,
yeah.
and you can tell that they just literally sit there all day and just talk shit and try to project their way or the highway every day, day in and day out. And all I can see now is the Colin Robinson scene, and it's amazing.
Yeah, whenever I just think about like when he rolls his eyes back and has just no soul. It looks like it's just like, gosh, there's so many people I can think of that just have that face. That just...
Oh my goodness, the internet trolls they're all Colin Robinsons. It's great because it makes it less frustrating when you encounter them because you're just like, oh, you're Colin Robinson.
But yeah, that would be funny. Has that actually happened in real life?
Well, I mean, what do you mean, like the rolling eyes back in your head and like feeding that way? Or...
No, I'm saying, has that in real life? Have you actually came across anyone and just been like, that's a Colin Robinson?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have a little bit of a reputation for being abrasive against people that are dumb. So I have sent like gifs of Colin Robinson to people's threads because just applause. But yeah, especially online, I will call people out for it all the time. Like, you're being a Colin Robinson right now.
Yeah. But again, that show is just, it's so funny.
It's fantastic.
The movie too, like you were saying, like I remember I tried to show the movie to him, like to my fiance, Darth over
Me.
here.
That's me.
And at first, it was just like, I think we watched it really late at night, and then we fell asleep, and I was like, no, we gotta watch it again. You gotta see how good it is. And then we both really, really liked it, and
nice.
And then I started hearing rumors about the show, and I was just like, oh, I gotta wait. It took a while, but I was like, oh, there it is, finally.
I didn't actually find the movie. I think I watched the first season of the show before I saw the movie. So I went backwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I watched the movie like right when it was coming out, when it was not like
nice.
Basically, they were just like, here, you can get it on this site, and I was like, okay, click it. So yeah, but just both of them are just fantastic shows and like a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a rumor though they're doing a werewolf spinoff. I don't know about that.
That wouldn't surprise me. I don't know, the swearwolves, they're interesting. That'd be funny. I don't know if it would be as good as what we do in the shadows, but give the werewolves some funny love too, I guess. It's funny too. My partner and my friend both have the werewolves not swearwolves on patches. You can buy patch like embroidered patches that say werewolves not swearwolves, so you can be part of the club.
That's cute.
It's funny.
But I was gonna say, we are kind of getting close to our time limit for the podcast.
All right.
We're almost at 45 minutes, actually.
That was a fast talk.
Yes, it was.
I hope that's good.
It's been great.
It has been good. So,
is there anything else you wanted to ask before we got done? Like anything I didn't explain well that I should read down?
No, you explained everything pretty well. I was just gonna say, if you just want to sum up again who you are and say where people can find you and all that.
All right, I guess I am Jessica Lovelace, aka TheVampyreWitch. You can find me on basically every social media at TheVampyreWitch. Vampire spelled with a Y, so VAMPYRE. You can also find me at www.thevampyrewitch.com. Pretty straightforward across the board on all the platforms, so come find me. Vampire witch, priestess of Hekate, practicing witch for 20 years, practicing vampire for 20 years. So if anybody has any questions or wants to learn more, feel free to reach out.
Thank you again for joining us on this podcast. And
Indeed.
Then, Darth, do you want to do where people can find you and all that?
No. Yes.
No.
I've been Darth Xile. You can find me over on Twitter at Darth_Xile and also on YouTube, where at this point I stream very, very rarely. Also under the same exact name, and you can figure out exactly which one it is because I'm the one that actually has content by thousands of videos. I don't think there's another Darth Xile anymore. I think they used to be, but
no.
He just did Call of Duty, like, oh, look at me, I can headshot people, woo. Like those type of videos.
Yeah.
That's it.
Riveting.
The no scopes.
The no scopes.
And then I'm Autumn Stormcaller, and you can find me at autumnspurpledoor.card.co. And I also actually made it brand new and learned how to code, so you actually can have different pages on it now. So it's a proper website.
Nice.
But yeah, that's our podcast, and I was the witch.
And I've been the atheist.
And good night, everybody, and good day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.